County Board of Supervisors. To get the roll call of the members by the clerk, please.
Supervisor Reynolds.
Here.
Supervisor Jeffrey Trout.
Here.
Supervisor Brownell.
Here.
Supervisor Barnhart.
Here.
Supervisor Borst.
Here.
Supervisor Hayes.
Here.
Supervisor Ferrara.
Ben here.
Supervisor Cronenwetter.
Here.
Supervisor Reinhardt.
Here.
Supervisor Partee.
Here.
Supervisor Heisen.
Here.
Supervisor Don Trout. Supervisor Enslow.
Here.
Supervisor Shipley.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You all may be seated. Okay. There's a public hearing tonight. I'm going to defer to the county attorney, where this is not going to be on the agenda as planned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As indicated, we originally were scheduled to do the public hearing for the residency issue. Just to clarify, prior to bringing this matter in December, I had requested an opinion letter from the Attorney General's office on the residency issue, and the response that I got was, I'll use the term equivocal, and simply said some case law to review and some other opinions, but nothing specific as to the clerk. Given that, it's the reason we submitted the local law that is before you. It's come to your attention today. I believe actually we had reached out earlier to some other clerks, and the questions come up as what I had originally thought, that this is a matter for home rule legislation, and in order to protect Ms. Avra and any questions as to her position, et cetera, I'm going to recommend that the local law be tabled and that Ms. Avra continue as the interim clerk until this matter is resolved if the board wishes to go through the home rule process. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. So you're saying
Shipley?
that we have to bring that to New York State Legislature
Yes,
under
sir.
a home rule?
Yes, sir.
That doesn't even happen until their last day of session in June.
I'm aware of that. I did have a conversation with one of the administrative aides for Representative Gallivan, because we were also discussing some of the other home rule matters that have to be addressed this year. She said the intent was to try and get as many things in the hopper as quickly as possible, and they will be trying to deal with them they're trying to do it differently, whether they do or not, but they're going to try and do the home rules as early as they can.
Supervisor Farrar?
Okay.
What's the issue? Do we miss a deadline?
No. The issue is that when I originally, there was some discussion. I mean, I was brought into the discussion about the residency late, but there was a question in my mind whether this was an officer's position that required home rule to allow to vacate the or to modify the residency requirement. I had requested an opinion from the Attorney General's office, and their answer was unclear. And so based upon the references they gave me, that's why I proposed proceeding with the permissive referendum on a local law. However, we came to our attention today that there's some, I will put it out that there's a greater question, and in order to safeguard Amanda in her position, I'm recommending that we withdraw this and proceed with it as a home rule matter, and that she continue as the interim clerk to the board until that matter is resolved.
I'm still confused. What came to light today?
Actually got a note from one of Margaret Lee's friends, one of the other board. Actually, she's a legislative board, and she pointed out, that she thought that was inappropriate using the local law method. So, in order to ensure that we're doing this correctly and again to protect Amanda, I'm recommending that we go back through the home rule process.
Supervisor Barnhart?
What's the risk if we don't take your advice, and how are we protecting Amanda by following your advice?
If there's any question as to the validity of her appointment, it could, and I'm not saying it would, but there's a question as to whether it counts, for lack of a better term. I mean, she's a continuous employee and she gets paid, but there are a variety of loose ends. So it's just it's a safer way to do this. To keep her interim status is perfectly valid until such time as we move forward on the homework.
Does this affect her pay at all?
No.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any presentations? To my knowledge, we don't have any tonight. Any petitioners for the board? Doesn't look like it. Open privilege to the floor. If anybody would like to address the board? Okay. I can get a motion to approve the minutes from the January 4th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
First and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Reports of standing committees. Supervisor Beth Partee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Mental Health Services Committee met on December 27th. 2 resolutions passed through committee that are on the agenda this evening. Other than that, I have nothing else.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Barnhart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Planning, Development, Agriculture, and Tourism met on December 27th. The following resolution was passed by Rule 29. Supervisors applied and accepted the New York State DOT Aviation Capital Grant. We have no resolutions in front of the board tonight.
Thank you. Supervisor Borst.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the 12/27/2022 committee meetings, the following resolution was passed by the committee and at the special board meeting. County manager authorized and directed to sign contracts with service providers for the 3-5 preschool program. For tonight's meeting, we have no resolutions to bring to the board.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Supervisor Reinhardt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's going to be one resolution coming up out of public safety tonight that's in your packet. I don't expect any other business.
Thank you. Supervisor Farrar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We passed 2 resolutions on the 27th at our public meeting. Melissa Taylor was appointed as Director of Emergency Management from January 1st, 23 through December 31st, 2026. And supervisors abolished the position of a full-time principal account clerk and create and authorized filling of a position of fiscal service manager. Those 2 resolutions have been taken care of. Also on the 27th, on the recommendation of the vacancy committee, the personnel committee agreed to refill 1 account position, refill a PC and network support specialist, refill a confidential secretary to the county attorney, and refill 1 confidential secretary to the county manager. They all just needed personnel committee approval, and therefore, personnel committee will have no resolutions in front of the full board tonight.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have no updates for the water sewer from our last meeting, but we do have a special meeting on the 17th at Ramos Town Hall for 6 p.m. for our before this next the actual committee meeting. So we're having a committee meeting, a special one on the 17th.
Thank you. Supervisor Shipley.
Thank you, Chairman Enslow. The Indian Affairs Committee did not have any committee discussions, topics at the meeting of 12/27.
Thank you. Supervisor Brownell, do you have anything?
I have nothing
Okay.
this time.
Thank you. Supervisor Jeff Trout.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Government Ops has 1 resolution tonight regarding approving a maintenance and support agreement for the Board of Elections.
Thank you. Supervisor Cronweather.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't here last, on the 27th, I had a positive test for COVID at that point. But we have, on January 20th, we have a meeting of the Local Solid Waste Management Plan Committee. And I think there's great potential for the Willard site on the same scale as the Legion in Geneva. You know, it's the same thing, basically. And other than that, I just hope all the members of this board, the Soil and Water Board of Directors, realize that everybody that lives or visits the Finger Lakes is affected by the Cayuga and Seneca Lakes, from drinking its water, recreation, to the scenic beauty. We all need to protect our lakes. That's all I have.
Thank you. Supervisor Cronweather, would you mind doing public works for Supervisor Trout?
Yes, no problem. See anything special? Oh, here we go.
Can't make it up.
It's at the 12/27/22 committee meetings, the following resolutions were passed by the committee and at the special board meeting. Seneca County Board of Supervisors award construction contracts and authorize budget transfers to Division of Human Services Phase 4 construction project. The Board of Supervisors supports agreement with the New York operations and maintenance of the Sampson Veterans Memorial Cemetery.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Heisen, do you have anything?
Nothing at all, sir.
Thank you. Supervisor Partee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Human Services Committee met on December 27th. There were 3 resolutions that passed through committee that are on the agenda this evening, and that is all I have.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Reynolds?
Thank you, Chairman Heisen. Chairman Enslow, sorry about that.
Strike one. Make a note.
I'm in trouble.
Committees for you.
On the 27th.
Welcome to the Indian Affairs Committee.
Don't send me there.
Technology.
The 27th we met, and then we had at the board meeting, we also passed resolutions to take care of the debits and credits for the 2023 tax levy. We adopted the final tax numbers for 23. We ratified the tax rolls. We authorized and correct refund taxes for the county treasurer and made amendments to the 2022 budget as well. And I have no resolutions for tonight. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, reports of special committees. Anybody have anything they'd like to share? Supervisor Shipley.
Thank you, Chairman. The Airport Advisory Committee held our quarterly meeting on December 14th. We discussed our master plan update to the FAA, and we also discussed which was handled under a Rule 29 at the 12/27 meeting, DOT funding for an airport T hangars. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share?
Yes.
Supervisor Jeff Trout.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the, as a representative with the Cornell Cooperative Extension, we had a reorganization meeting last night. We welcomed a new board member, Brad Ellis, who's also the owner of, I'm gonna fit on the
Fall
corner
Street.
there.
Fall Street.
Fall Street Brewing. And we went over the goals for this year, as well as had our reorganizational meeting and working with AVE about potentially doing a presentation for the board, similar to what Soil and Water did, so everyone's got kind of a view about what they do and the numerous activities that they participate in.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else? All right, thank you. Chairman's remarks. The only thing I'd like to say is that the current committee structure will stay until the end of the month for the next committee meetings. We are working on going through that and figuring out how we're going to proceed. I got thank you for everybody sending me over what committee they'd like to be on or where they want to be or what their thoughts are. Appreciate you sharing that. I think that's it for me. County Manager Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say to the board, to the county department, looking forward to a productive 2023 to move the ball down the field on a number of items we've had pending, and again, looking forward to a very productive year ahead. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. County Attorney?
Yes, sir. Do have 3 items for the board. I guess the good news, which I've passed on to some of the members of the opioid task force, I've asked Supervisor Partee to address. We did receive a settlement packet in on the Teva, New York, one of the opioid distributor manufacturers. The settlement is consistent with the ones previously received. Each of the members of the board have a copy of the memo from our council on their desk. It outlines, there is the spreadsheet was a little too weird to print out, so I had to do it a little cut and paste, spelling out the payments to be received over the next to the year 2040, the estimated amounts each year and the divisions under the what they can be used for, which again is consistent with our prior settlements. The matter the settlement documents need to be returned to the council by the 20th. So because of that, instead of having to wait for the next regular meeting, I prepared a resolution for Supervisor Partee to bring under Rule 29 and authorize me to sign the settlement. That's one. Number two, each of you received, making sure you received copies of the rules of the board for 2023 that were adopted last month. I know that sometimes there's some questions about what's going on or what the procedure is. So I just wanted to make sure that all the board members had a copy. And if they had any questions ahead of a meeting of what was going on, they could let us know. I appreciate that. The last thing, unfortunately, is we were served today by the litigation matter, Hugo Indian Nation versus the town of Seneca Falls and Seneca County District Attorney. This has to do with the December 21 eviction at the Baird Street convenience store. There's some questions about some of the funds and property that was seized at that time and what happened to it. And so the nation has brought an action before the court that was served today. Again, I can provide, it's pretty straightforward, but it has has a couple of twists, but basically they want their property back. It was seized at the convenience store. So with that, again, if you have any questions, please let me know, or I can address it more completely in an executive session later. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Communications.
Communications 1 through 7 have been received and filed.
Thank you. Resolutions and motions. Human Services, number 15, Supervisor Partee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Seneca County Manager to sign the Seneca County 2023 education contract between Finger Lakes Community College and Seneca County Division of Human Services for Education Coordinator Services.
Support.
First and a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Human Services, number 16, Supervisor Partee.
Seneca County Board of Supervisors to approve Workforce Innovation and Opportunities Act, Chief Elected Officials Administrative Agreement, July 1, 2022 to June 30th, 2023 with the Finger Lakes Workforce Investment Board.
Support?
First and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 17, Human Services, Supervisor Partee.
Seneca County Board of Supervisors proclaims January as Human Trafficking Awareness Month in Seneca County.
Support?
First and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 18, Government Operations, Supervisor Jeff Trout.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Seneca County Board of Supervisors does hereby authorize the Board of Elections to enter into contract for maintenance and support with NTS Data Services at a rate of $30,167 for a one-year term from January 1st to December 31st, 2023.
Support.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Government Ops, number 19, Supervisor Jeff Trout.
Supervisor Trout, I was going to request that you move to table this.
Right. So,
resolution.
right, so you want me to just make that motion or read it and then make the motion, or? I move that we table this.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, tabled.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Yep, no problem.
Public Safety, number 20, Supervisor Reinhardt.
Supervisors accept grant funding from the New York State Sheriff's Association.
Motion.
First and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 21, Mental Health Services, Supervisor Partee.
Board of Supervisors approves Mental Health Department's 2023 contract with Ronald Yearwood, MD, for psychiatric services and amends the 2023 county budget.
Support.
First and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 22, Mental Health Services, Supervisor Partee.
Board of Supervisors approves the Seneca County Community Services Board's CSB 2023 appointments.
Support.
First and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Abstain? The record shows Supervisor Heisen abstained. Thank you. Any unfinished business? All right, new business.
I'd like to make a motion to bring a resolution under Rule 29.
Support.
Got a first and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries for Rule 29. I'll go ahead with your resolution, please.
Board of Supervisors approves a resolution of the Seneca County Board of Supervisors authorizing the county attorney to execute settlement plan documents pertaining to Teva New York opioid settlement.
Support.
First and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other new business? All right, get a motion for special order of the day.
Motion.
Moved.
First and a second. Any discussion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
22 minutes.
22.
Well done.
20 minutes.
You wanted it quick.
You skipped the discussion on the rest of them. We could have had 2 more minutes shaved off.
22
boss.
minutes.